Didik TV KPM.
Now we are going to give tips for everyone to remember when we want to write an informal email. Okay, an informal email, it's normally used for friends and family members.
Yeah.
It's really different compared to formal emails.
Yes, that's right. For example, like writing to your boss or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, for you, Sean, do you normally write formal or informal emails?
Mostly if I'm replying friends, definitely informal emails. So I can put a little bit more expression to it and also emotions in there. Yeah, so I don't need to really be too serious when I'm writing an email.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me too, I would write informal emails to my friends, especially those who are staying abroad.
Definitely, yes.
So it will be faster to reach them compared to writing a letter.
That is very true.
Yeah, and I would write formal emails maybe to my work colleagues, sending them memos or documents.
Yes, that's
But
true.
for friends, I would definitely use informal emails.
Yes, for sure. I think they will feel a bit weird if we were writing a very formal email to them, like. But maybe we'll talk about that later. But let's go back to the topic at hand.
Okay, yes. So coming back to informal emails, other than writing to your friends and family members, we also need to remember that even though it's informal, it could be more relaxed, it does have certain forms that we need to follow. Okay, first, obviously, you need to know the content, what you are going to reply. So we look at the email that we receive, and then we look at which questions are being asked to us.
Okay.
Then we need to reply to that question accordingly. Okay, that's for the content. As for the language, for informal email, it's more relaxed, definitely. So we can use a little bit of conversational language, like anyway, that's fantastic, excellent, cool. We can use all of that for informal emails.
But of course, it has to be in full words, right?
Exactly, full words. We cannot use words such as LOL, definitely not. But words like that's good, that's great, that's permitted.
So maybe we
That's
can
allowed.
translate the LOL to, I think that's very funny, for example.
Yes, that's an excellent suggestion, Sean.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the contents, we have the language, and obviously we also need to have a look at the tone of the email.
Ah, yes.
Is it happy? Is it sad? You know, when somebody is telling us a sad news, we wouldn't want to make jokes about it.
That's true.
That's a definite no-no.
I think also because it's very, you have to also consider the person's emotions at that time. For example, I'm writing this email to you just to inform that, for example, my grandfather is in the hospital. So you wouldn't want to reply that email saying, oh, that's great, because that's totally out, or very different and something that you want to avoid.
Definitely. So that's why we need to identify the tone, the meaning, and the author's intention behind the email.
Yes.
Okay, so now we are going to give more tips to remember, and we are going to ask our pupils about this. Okay, first we have writer's attitude. Okay, would anybody like to share what have you learned about a writer's attitude?
I learned that we need to identify writer's feeling, so that when we want to reply, we will match what the writer is feeling.
Yes, identifying what the writer is feeling, right, Amalia? So if you are happy, Amalia, what words would you like to say in your email?
I'm really glad.
Yeah, that's good. I'm really glad. So you are sharing the feeling of being happy. Okay, thank you, Amalia. And then the next one, we have respond appropriately. If anyone would like to respond to that.
I've learned that we need to know which parts that need a response. If sender asks us, we need to answer it.
Okay, exactly, Anis. So when somebody asks us something, even in writing, we have to reply to it.
Yes,
we couldn't just leave them hanging.
That's actually quite true, because, for example, if I were to ask Miss Liyana, how are you today? And Miss Liyana just ignores me, I would feel either maybe she didn't hear me properly, but this is in a conversational context. Right? But for an email, probably they would think that, didn't he read my question earlier? Or why didn't he reply? Is there something wrong?
Exactly.
So it's very important also to respond, like you mentioned, appropriately.
Yeah, because it makes people doubt, did I do something wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, so we need to respond appropriately according to the questions given to us or what's expected of us. Okay, so for the third one, we can use expressions. So would anybody like to tell us what they have learned about expressions?
I think we have to use the appropriate expression according to the situations. For example, we can use how are things to ask someone how they are doing.
Okay, exactly, Arif. So we can ask, how are things, to ask someone how they are doing. So Arif, what phrase would you use if your friend tells you bad news, for example? Maybe sorry?
Sorry.
Sorry for your loss. Or maybe you would say, I also feel the same way as you do. Okay, when we have some sad news, we would want to convey our sympathy.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, and finally, use standard grammar and spelling. So would anyone like to share what you have learned about that?
I learned that we should write and spell everything in full and use proper grammar.
Yes, use proper grammar. So even though it's to our friend, it's to our family members, but still, because it's in writing, it needs to be in standard grammar and also spelling. It's definitely different from when we are just replying via handphones, for
That's
example.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so thank you guys for recapping and also giving us tips to remember. For viewers at home, you can definitely remember this and practice it, especially when you want to write informal email to your friends, or for example, if you have a task for you to do. Okay, so these tips, it's actually good
Yep.
to remember, actually not just for informal emails,
Okay.
but also for formal emails.
Yes, because I think it's also relevant to formal emails as well.
Yeah, it's also relevant. We need to identify the attitude. For example, if we're writing a formal email to our boss, so we know if it's a letter to recommend us to do something, so we need to respond appropriately to that. And then we can use proper expressions as well. And then obviously, in writing, everything must be in standard grammar and spelling.
That's true. And Miss Liyana, before we end, maybe you could give us a short summary of what we have learned or covered so far today for writing an informal email.
Okay, writing an informal email, first definitely you have to look at the content, meaning what is written. So because you need to respond appropriately to that. Next would be the aspect of language. Informal language is definitely allowed, but there are some rules and conventions that you have to follow too. And then you need to look at the writer's attitude. You need to ask yourself, is this email talking about something happy or something sad or something, or maybe your friend would want some suggestions. So you look at the attitude of the writer. And then obviously you need to, when you look at the layout of emails, you need to have the greeting, and then after that you need to respond to the main contents, and then you would have the sign off and the bye-bye towards the end. And normally for informal emails, it depends, but it shouldn't be too long.
Yes.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Because you want to also get straight to the point. You wouldn't be not too long-winded unless if you have lots of things to say.
Yeah.
But obviously, like you mentioned, it has to be, well, not too long-winded, for example. Yes?
Exactly.
Didik TV KPM